My name is Joshua MacLeod, and I'm the founder of Instruments of Joy. The mission of Instruments of Joy is to equip aspiring musicians in the developing world with quality musical instruments. I was on a missions trip to South Africa. It was my first time in South Africa, and when I got there, I was really surprised. Here there were these amazingly beautiful buildings and skyscrapers and the things that you would expect to see in any city in the United States. But one of the things that I saw as I was driving down the street is there was this huge wall. It was like a 30-foot wall. And I was asking the pastor that I was talking with while we were traveling, I was like, what's this wall all about? And he said, oh, well, we're going to the other side of the wall. And on the other side of the wall is the Khayelitsha slum, where there's millions of people living in just absolute devastation. And as a photographer, I got out, I was on top of the van, I was shooting pictures, and I saw this kid. And when I started taking a picture of this kid, a lady that lives in that village started yelling, and she said, "Show them how we live. Take our picture. Show them how we live here in Khayelitsha." She really wanted people to know. She wanted people to see her and to remember her. And I think sometimes in the United States, we do the same thing. We put this wall up where the people on the other side of the wall are kind of over there. So it doesn't really affect us. Their poverty doesn't really have an impact in our lives. So we kind of just, well, let's just block that out of our mind. After South Africa, we went on a trip to Malawi. And when we got to this orphanage, there was no electricity. There were kids that were eating like once a day. And it was kind of a bleak situation. You walked in and it just kind of felt sad. And then one of the kids came in, he was like a 16-year-old, and he had a guitar that he had fashioned from a gas can and a block of wood. And he started playing that instrument, and the entire atmosphere changed. And the kids that were sitting there that were just kind of looking sad started singing and clapping and standing up and dancing. And I sat there, and as I was watching this musician, there were three things that hit me. One was that this kid was a much better musician than I was. The second thing that hit me was he was doing more with his musical talent than I was. Here he was bringing joy in this place of great poverty. And the third thing that I realized is that I had 3 guitars sitting in my bonus room collecting dust. And this kid was playing a gas can and a block of wood. I came back to the States after this trip to South Africa and after this trip to Malawi. As I was praying, I saw a picture of the kid at the orphanage in Malawi. And I felt like God was telling me that I was supposed to give instruments away to orphans and aspiring musicians in the developing world. And so what I decided to do was send this kid my best guitar. In an area where you only make $400 a year, the idea of owning a quality instrument it's not a reality. And so at Instruments of Joy, what we do is we collect instruments that are collecting dust, and then we deliver those instruments into the developing world and give them to aspiring musicians who could never afford them. We work with organizations that are established and have deep roots in the communities where they serve, so that when we connect those instruments, we're giving them to someone who will put them into the right hands. What we're interested in at Instruments of Joy is not only meeting the physical needs of people, which is incredibly important, but also meeting the spiritual, the soul, reaching people with things like music and joy and dignity, and giving them gifts to be creative. I think there's a lot of ways to fight poverty. The way that we fight poverty is by bringing beauty into areas where there's devastation, and bringing music into places that simply don't have any music.